Alright, so I totally forgot about the fact that I needed brakes in the last episode, so I did think about these at an earlier stage. So I just bought some regular V brakes that are going to go over here, just like that. So I just need to weld in a bracket over there on each side, drill a hole, and it's got like a little anchoring pin over there, which sort of allows it to spring back. And so I'll get those fitted, and they replace the lever at the top there, is actually meant for the handbrake brake thing. These the brake lever will go in here, and obviously this cable here, like it's spoken about, is actually just trips the hub motor so it doesn't have any more power. So when you brake, you won't be fighting the hub motor really. And yeah, so we'll get those brakes fitted, get them working, and then we'll move over to the last little bit, which is just the containers for the battery and the controller. So yeah, let's do that. Alright, so I've made adjustment for those brakes and that seems to work okay. I'll give it a proper test down the hill and see if the brake, it does touch there a little bit, but I think it's just enough that it's not going to create a problem. So I've gone and designed these brackets over here and printed them with my 3D printer, and one over there for the controller. So what I did was I did leave a little bit of space. I didn't design them all the way down there just in case I didn't, you know, if you don't get a perfect fit, then you might have to squeeze them and reprint. It's quite something quite big to reprint. So that seems okay over there, and this one will go in there like that. And this is where I have a problem, I guess, is that this cable is too short to go this side. So I'm gonna have to extend the cable on the actual battery to the controller, and so I'll just make a new one, put the new connector on, And I'm thinking though that maybe this is not appropriate to put in here, and maybe I can just come around over here. So maybe instead I put the controller in here, because these cables come out and they can go inside there, and maybe I just scrap this one and just use this one for the battery, and then the controller will sit in here, pull the cables out of the way, and I'll just have to get a longer, and this one is obviously long enough to go into there too, so I think that's a better option than having to use this one, even though that seems to be okay. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this apart, I'm going to give it a bit of a spray it and get that done, then we'll reassemble it, and I'm going to do the back. Actually, that I'll do first. I'll get the throttle, get that through and actually see, because if the throttle cable doesn't go over here, and it makes sense to get into here and put the little computer, so there's the throttle on that. So it's, you know, I've just got to trim off some of that little padding that's on the handle, and then we'll connect these onto there. Alright, let's do that. Alright, so I've got that on nicely. I had to, I couldn't put this little one right next to the throttle just because the cable was sort of stopping it, stopping the clamp getting around. And so I put the brake, it seems to work. As you can see, this is a regular brake at the top there, and then you've got the e-brake which just cuts the motor when you pull the brakes. You got your little throttle and your gauge, so that all works fine. I'll just cable tie those when I'm all sorted out. So I had to think about it, and I'm going to, instead of using this bracket down here, I'm going to put the controller inside here. So all the cables are actually just coming out here, and this one going to the hub motor is long enough to then just go into there. That's going to be a lot tidier, and the battery can still go in here. I need to extend the cable so I could slot in. It comes from the bottom actually. That's why I left a gap in there, so you can see this gap there, in there, so the cable can come up and then loop once I've extended this. So I've got to take that off and put a new, extended these cables all the way so that they can go underneath the frame. Just cable tie them to the frame and then go into there. The battery can still sit there. Alternatively, I get rid of this one too, and I'll put the battery inside that pocket. So I had to think about that, but for now, I'm just going to connect all these cables and get them inside here and see how neat I can get that. This is just a spare cable. It needs to be plugged in. If you've seen from one of the other videos, I have to plug in both brakes for the actual e-brake to work, so that will just sit in either inside here, or I'll just put it loose in there. Alright, well, let me tidy that up and get it all cable tied up, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I think that's the way to go, instead of having to worry about there. Like I say, I need to extend this one, and but I can also just zip everything nicely up in there. This, maybe I'll make an alternative bracket for this side, just so that everything's on one side. Or I could leave it there, that I've already made it. I suppose I'm gonna have to extend it anyway, so I'll put it on that side. Maybe that just balances the weight a little bit better. So it's just a cable, tire, and you spray it, and cable tie up the cables over there, and then we'll be ready to give it a bit of a test run. See how we go. Cool. Alright, so I've had a change in heart, been away on holiday for a bit, so I had to think about what I was going to do with this battery. So I think because I'm going to have to extend the cable anyways to put the battery on the other side, I decided I would just leave it inside. I'd extend the cable and just put the battery in the back. So that makes the most sense, which is a pretty simple solution, and then I won't have anything there if it bounces, or those plastic from the 3D printing can break, fatigue over time. Yeah, so I'm going to I bought some cable, and I'm going to extend the cable from the back. So I'm just going to simplify it and just put two connectors on the other side of the cable, and then connect in one side, and then so then we'll just run it to the back, and then everything will be nice and neat, and then we'll put it back together, and then we'll be ready to give one last test run and see how we go. Cool. Alright, so you can see inside there is heaps of spaces. I just store the stroller wheels in here. And I've just left the brake attached to it. So you can see there's just, there's ample of space. And yeah, so I don't have to worry about it. And so that looks much easier. So now it's just a matter of putting it back together, and we'll give it a test run, and I'll let you know how it goes. So I got getting down a really steep hill, and my brakes seem to be doing really well, so that's me pushing actually and letting go. So that's a win by itself. So going around, Getting around the corner isn't easy, got to lean back because of the static wheel, and just it's not too bad for me, but for somebody a bit smaller it's a little bit harder. So you can see it seems to work okay. Alright, so we'll turn it around and see how it goes up the hill. Alright, so I'm in speed 2 and you can see I've got quite a steep hill, probably a little bit deceptive from the camera, and you can hear the wheels spinning there. The road's a little bit wet, and so I'm giving it a bit of throttle, only just, and yeah, I'm not having to push anything. Traction is still the issue, so it just too much power. It does turn easy when the wheels are spinning, so it could be one way to solve that, but how long the tire lasts is questionable. See, you can, but yeah, I think that's alright. Okay, so I gave it a good test, and the brakes are working well, and the hub motor is doing what it's supposed to do. The trouble is always going to be that the center wheel is static, and turning it with it is difficult. However, when the wheels do spin, it actually makes it easier to turn, but the tires won't last very long if you keep spinning them to turn. So always knew that was going to be an issue. That's how the Jogger is designed. It has a static wheel. It's meant to just go in a straight line, and yeah, so it is done, and I'm happy with the result. I think, you know, I achieved what I wanted to achieve out of it, and you know, I got the hub motor. I made a few adjustments along the way. It was better not to have them in here, even though that's what I thought I had in my head in the beginning. The fact that they're nestled away in there and at the back makes for a much you know, a much neater finish for the, and you know, it's just out of the way. So it is finished, and for now, so I'm thinking, because it's harder to turn, and really I made it for my wife to be able to use, and it's just a little bit difficult for her to get it around. So I'm going to think about making this wheel steerable, and there's mainly two ways I can do that. I can have a center pivot over there and make the wheel turn behind. I can't pivot from the front unless you can actually control the wheel, because once it turns it won't correct itself. It has to be in the front, or I have to do something from the top, which might be a little bit overkill, you know, butch up an old bicycle or something like that. That's it for now. I'm going to have a think about what I do, and I'm going to make it steerable, and I'll revisit this at a later stage. I've got a few other projects I want to get back to. So that brings us to the end of the series, for now at least, and yeah, and thanks for watching, and I hope that you guys enjoyed that or found it useful for whatever reason. This is the first time for me, you know, doing something with a hub motor or electronics. I'm normally doing woodworking or landscaping or something like that, so it's been fun. That's what it was mainly planned for, was to do something fun and something interesting. And yeah, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you for the next episode or for the next project, and yeah, see you next time.